Pokémon HeartGold and SoulSilver has always been one of my favorite games of all time. And I think it's safe to say that it holds a very special place in my heart, as I can always find myself going back to the game and reliving experiences of my childhood, wandering aimlessly through the game's cities, towns, and routes. Pokémon HeartGold and SoulSilver were released on September 12, 2009 in Japan, and in North America they were released on March 14, 2010. Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver are remakes of the 1999 Game Boy Color role-playing games Pokemon Gold and Silver. The remakes also include features from Pokemon Crystal, which in of itself serves as an enhanced edition of the 1999 Gold and Silver games. These games are part of the fourth generation of the Pokemon series, developed by Game Freak and published by the Pokemon Company and Nintendo, with the Nintendo DS. They are the contemporaries of Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. The games received positive reviews from critics overall, and the game's combined sales reached 12.72 million. And this makes the two games combined one of the 8th best-selling Nintendo DS video games of all time. Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver are role-playing games that have adventure elements intertwined. And the game's mechanics are pretty much the same of its predecessors. One of the more notable features of Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver is a feature where the first Pokemon in your party can follow you around in the overworld. And this was actually accompanied by a peripheral called the Pokewalker, which was bundled with all new copies of Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver. The Pokewalker was a pedometer which allowed players to talk and check in on their Pokemon, all while not having the game open. These two games take place in the Johto and Kanto regions of the franchise's fictional universe. The game starts you off in your hometown, New Bark Town, where you pick your first starter Pokemon of 3 choices: Totodile, Cyndaquil, and Chikorita. As a kid, I always chose Totodile because of its resemblance to the alligator, one of Florida's most famous wildlife and a true staple of the state. The choice also mirrored my admiration of the University of Florida Gators football team, which was one of my favorite teams growing up. Whenever I look at Totodile or its subsequent evolutions, I'm always reminded of fond memories at Florida football games or at home with my family watching them on the TV. So even today, I still pick Totodile, and I'm always reminded of my family when I do this. Your journey culminates in the collection of 16 badges from across each region, and the conquering of the Indigo Plateau, which is one of the game's final tests. Many people consider the game's final battle to be against Red, who is the protagonist of the Generation 1 games, Red and Blue. You meet Red on Mount Silver. He appears as a stoic Pokemon trainer hardened by tons of battles over the years. So much so that he doesn't even speak to you. While battling Red, you were met with one of the hardest challenges in the game so far, and as a kid I would reach this part, but I was actually never able to defeat Red. Red stood as a metaphor for Pokemon, beckoning me to come back to the game when I was older, when I was ready to challenge him and defeat him. Beating Red wasn't just something that could happen through sheer force. It had to be calculated, it had to be careful. My team of Pokemon had to be specifically procured to have a chance of defeating him. This is where my newfound appreciation of the game is derived from. When I was younger, I enjoyed the game, but I didn't appreciate its lessons nor its metaphors. Now today, I could say that I have defeated Red several times in different playthroughs of the game. I conquered the final test, one that had lain dormant due to my younger self's inability to really understand the intricacies of the game. It's poetic in a sense, retracing my footsteps through the games and trying to comprehend the choices my younger self would make. and hurdling those same obstacles that my younger self found so challenging. It really speaks to the human ability to grow and to learn and recognize how we've changed. It's not often that we get an opportunity to really go back in time and have a real look around. I guess you could say the game acts as a time capsule, as throughout subsequent playthroughs of my adulthood, I've been reminded of many fond memories of my past that were buried, and that's just through the power of nostalgia. This game has done much in shaping many of my ideals and some of my character traits. It's a game about making your own path forward and going about life with a how can I help mindset. Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver accentuates grit and persistence, both traits that are highly desirable. And so, to answer those who say it's just a game, or how can something like this be so important to you, I would direct them to something in their childhood that was deeply pivotal in their formation, that might seem insignificant at first, but in reality is very significant. Pokemon games in general echo the sentiment that genuity and kindness tower above everything, and that they can be deep drivers of just about every facet of life. It's only when we stop to think about these things that we can truly extract something from them. Like something as simple as this. I own a copy of Pokemon HeartGold. Now this copy was originally my brother's, and we would share it between each other, and we would play on the same save file of the game. He would give it to me, and it would become mine, and in that way, it serves as a reminder of my brother and our relationship. So whenever I look at the game, or I start a new playthrough, it makes me think of my brother and our relationship and how we shared a lot of time together. How we bonded over this random Pokemon game. Something that seems so insignificant, but will ultimately serve as an artifact for our relationship. And is something that I will end up passing down to my kids and explaining to them how important it is to me and how it reminds me of my family. And it is here where I'd like to invite the viewer to think about something in their life that seems unimportant, but is really very significant. And this could be really anything. It could be a piece of writing, a movie, a TV show, a short clip that you watched on YouTube. It could be anything. And I want you to think about it. I want you to tell yourself why it's important to you. Why does it matter? Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver will be a game that I continue to think about and really thank for its contributions. Video games are important literature, and I would say so especially for modern generations. They play a massive role in, and as I said before, the formation of ideals and values. It's important that we really think about these games for what they are, a time capsule. Something that serves as catalyst for recollection and reflection. And I would like to leave off with the sentiment that we should never discount the formative literature of others. Because when we downplay the importance of formative literature, we disrespect it, and we disrespect the person that it's so important to. And that's really just doing a disservice to creative thought and critical thinking in general. I would like to extend my thanks and gratitude to Professor Heather Vasquez of the College of Arts and Humanities at the University of Central Florida. I thank Professor Vasquez for a prosperous spring semester and her commitment to student engagement. And that is where I will end this video essay. Once again, I implore you to really think about formative literature in your life. This last bit of music is one of my favorite pieces from the entire game.